When Admiral Scott Hayes walked into the naval training base that morning, he expected another routine inspection, neat uniforms, nervous cadets, and maybe a few handshakes for good measure. What he didn't expect was her. Standing at the far end of the field was a woman in full combat uniform, her hair tied neatly, her stance commanding, calm, confident, and quietly powerful. Her presence drew every eye. Even the most senior officers seemed to straighten their backs when she turned their way. "Who's that?" Admiral Hayes asked his aide. "New transfer, sir. Arrived this morning. Claims she's here for command coordination exercises." Hayes smirked. "Coordination exercises? Alone?" He chuckled, his deep voice echoing. "Let's see how high her rank imagination goes." He strode over, boots crunching the gravel, the kind of walk that made even seasoned officers swallow hard. The woman turned, met his gaze, and saluted sharply. "At ease," he said casually. "What's your rank, Lieutenant?" Her lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "Fleet Commander, sir." For a second, silence. Then came the faintest sound, the Admiral's breath catching. He blinked, convinced he'd misheard. "I'm sorry, what did you say?" "I said, Fleet Commander." Her tone was steady, professional, but the hint of challenge in her eyes spoke volumes. He studied her uniform again. The insignia on her chest wasn't from his fleet. It was from the Global Allied Maritime Force, a top-secret international unit that only answered to the Joint Defense Council. The same council that had once offered him the role, before he'd turned it down years ago. She noticed the flicker of recognition in his eyes and nodded slightly. "You've heard of it, I assume." The Admiral straightened, his arrogance faltering. "You're heart of GAMF. "I don't just serve in it," she replied quietly. "I led it." A murmur spread through the surrounding officers. Every man and woman there froze. The Global Allied Maritime Force was a myth to most, a ghost fleet that operated in the shadows, coordinating anti-piracy, rescue, and deep-sea intelligence missions the world never heard about. The Admiral's expression hardened, though his heart raced. "That's impossible. Fleet commanders don't make surprise visits. And they don't come unannounced. Unless," she countered, "they're testing the readiness of an Allied command." He felt the weight of her gaze. Suddenly, his joke felt like the dumbest thing he'd ever said. She walked past him, inspecting the cadets. Her movements were precise, her eyes sharp. Every command she gave was crisp, and her voice carried authority earned, not granted. Even the wind seemed to pause when she spoke. The Admiral finally managed, "Permission to ask, Commander, where did you serve before this?" She looked back over her shoulder. "Somalia, Arctic Passage, South China Sea, Operation Dawn Shield." His eyes widened. "Operation Dawn Shield, that mission was classified." "Exactly," she said, turning back to the cadets. He felt his chest tighten, not from anger, but respect. The woman standing before him had likely saved thousands of lives, carried missions he could only dream of leading. After the drills ended, he found her alone near the dock, staring at the horizon, where the sea kissed the sky. "You handled my men better than anyone I've seen," he admitted quietly. "You've earned my respect, Commander." She glanced at him, the faintest smile touching her lips. "Respect isn't what I came for." "Then what did you come for?" "To remind you," she said, her eyes softening, "that leadership isn't about rank. It's about responsibility. You have men who look up to you, but they need to see humility, not hierarchy." The words hit deeper than he expected. Before he could respond, a low hum filled the air, the sound of engines. 3 stealth gray vessels appeared in the distance, cutting through the waves with precision. Each bore the emblem of the Global Allied Maritime Force. Her earpiece crackled. "Commander, extraction in 5. She nodded, then turned back to him one last time. "Keep your fleet strong, Admiral. You'll be hearing from us soon." He could only watch as she boarded the waiting vessel. The insignia gleamed under the sun, a silver trident across a world map. As the ship vanished over the horizon, Hayes felt his chest tighten again. This time not from shock, but from realization. All his years commanding fleets, all his medals and accolades, and yet, a single woman had reminded him what true command looked like. Later, his aide found him still staring at the horizon. "Sir, are you okay?" The Admiral exhaled slowly. "She said Fleet Commander," he murmured, half smiling. And I thought she was joking. He looked up at the empty sky, where the faint trail of the departing vessel shimmered in the light. She wasn't.